Hello, and welcome to the My VA Dayton podcast, where we dive deep into the stories and experiences for those who have served our country and explore the importance of ensuring veterans receive the care and benefits they deserve. I'm your host, Gregory Tucker, with My VA Dayton. Today, our guest is Marine Corps veteran, Marine Corps, Army, Air Force, National Guard veteran, Mr. Kevin Keller. Kevin served in the United States Marine Corps from 1983 to June of 1996. Then in the Air Force, National Guard for 3 years. For 3 years in the Air National Guard. Then he went on from the Air Force to the Air Force Reserve for another 4 years. Then there was 6 years in the U.S. Army. Then he retired from active duty in July 2012. In the Marine Corps, Kevin was a field radio operator, the battalion career planner, a Marine Corps security guard, and member of Desert Storm. In the Air Guard, he was a bomb loader for the F-16s. In the Air Force Reserve, he was a medical supply. He was in medical supply. And the Army, he was the petroleum lab technician. And he completed 2 tours in Iraq. As a side note, this is something extremely important. He met his wife at Fort Stewart, Georgia, on the rifle range. Was your wife the instructor?
No, she was a specialist at the time. She was an E4. I was a sergeant E5.
Oh, okay.
She was needing a little assistance, and I went up on the range, and we were about done, but the sergeant that was up there wasn't really doing anything but playing on his phone, so I went up there, and my Marine NCO kicked in, and I knelt down beside her and helped her out, and next thing I know, it's 17 years later, we've been married 16. So
okay. Did you see that downrange?
No. But the interesting part about that is that we were in the same battalion, different companies. We deployed together to Iraq, our first tour.
Oh.
And then a few months into our tour, our son, one of our twin boys, was in the Ohio Guard MP. He came over. So we were all 3 over there together. And then the plane I got on to go to Vance Party, our oldest boy, Andrew, who lives down in Cincinnati, he was getting off his second deployment.
So you both were deployed at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
How common is that?
It's more common than you would think. We had some husband, wife, in our battalion, different companies usually, not in the same company.
Okay. I didn't know that. I would have thought that they would leave one of the parents, especially with having a family, that one parent would stay behind, so to speak, while the other is deployed.
Yeah, all of our children are older, so they were none of them were at home except for our one daughter, Nicole. Everybody else was growing out on their own and had their own, doing their own thing. So we only had the one. We both have male offspring, of course. We have sons, so to carry on the family names. We volunteered to do it.
Kevin, what inspired you to join the Marine Corps?
Well, funny thing is, my dad served in Korea during the war. He was an MP there. So he died when I was 5, cancer. He was only 37. So I wanted to follow in his footsteps, so to speak. So me getting in the Marine Corps was mainly because my brother-in-law, and I was checking him out, and I really didn't know where I wanted to do. So I actually was... I talked to my brother-in-law, seen him. He came home for a few days leave because he was going to become a recruiter. So I talked to him after he got out of recruiting school, and we talked, and he ended up getting me to go in the Marine Corps, following in the footsteps to serve. Oh,
okay. So you didn't enter the Marine Corps together. He was there before you.
Yeah, he had he went in later in life, like 25, 26, whatever. Became a Marine, but he came and he told me about it, and it just sounded like what I needed at the time. And I had a stepfather who was outstanding, but there were 6 of us, and I needed something. And I knew the Marine Corps had, I thought, of course, the discipline and everything else would be really what I needed.
Okay. And that's something that I hear a lot of with a lot of military members, and that reasons or compelling reasons was that things weren't exactly going the way that they wanted them to, and they felt that added discipline would be something that would allow them to get back on track.
Yes.
Versus deviating. Now, are you a native Daytonian? Are you from around this area?
A native as of February.
Oh, okay.
Born and raised in Illinois.
Okay.
We just moved over here in February, Washington Township. My wife's born and raised in the Dayton area. Her sister, 3 sisters and nieces, nephews, everybody's over here. We've been coming back and forth here since we've been married. So we're over here now hanging out and it's so far so good.
So you were in the Marine Corps for quite a long time. What motivates you far as to, what do they call it, cross ship?
Well, it wasn't a motivated thing. It was, I was in during the President Clinton's drawdown.
Okay.
And I was up for Staff Sergeant, E6. And in the Marine Corps, at that time, you had 13 years to make Staff Sergeant. If you don't make Staff Sergeant, you go home. So it's a high year tenure is what they call it.
Okay.
So I went up, but I never got selected. But there was 3,000 of us going up for 110 Staff Sergeant slots. So, and I didn't make it. So I got out, and a family friend who was a Vietnam veteran, knew us since we were born. He got me talked into going in the Air Guard, the unit he retired out of. He's like, he goes, Kevin, you just got too much time. You got to go and finish your time. I never really thought about it, just because I was fresh out of the Corps. And I went into the Air Guard and tried it, but it wasn't my cup of tea, so to speak.
And from there, you went over to the Air Force Reserve.
Yes.
And then there was the Army.
Yes.
And as far as from the military service, what was your most memorable part?
Or
any particular event that was more memorable?
Well, Marine Corps boot camp is memorable.
Okay.
All 3 months of it. I don't care what Marine you talk to, I remember it like it's yesterday. I really have a lot of good stuff between being in the Corps for 13 years. I did 2 Mediterranean sea cruises and 2 Westpacs. We took an hour for 6 months. Got to become a shell back Navy thing. So I wanted to travel, and the only way I knew I was going to do is through the military. And I hit about 40 different countries, thanks to the Navy, our original Uber. They took us everywhere and dropped us off, and left us, and they went out and had a good time most of the time, and then they came back and got us. But hey, that's the way it works. But I got to travel to about 40 different countries, and got to travel the world and see a lot of things and do a lot of things that I never would have been able to do before. But Desert Storm and twice to Iraq, those are memorable, but it's not the best memories sometimes. Some of it is, some of it's not. So, but it's what we signed up for. So.
Oh, yes. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Marine Corps veteran Kevin Keller, when we come back after these messages.
I already have health care from my work, so I thought, why would I need to go to the VA? I don't know all their programs and services they offer, and I didn't realize that there was no copay for some of the care and no annual premium. Now I have options I didn't have before. That's why I chose VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
Call 937-268-6511, extension 2159 to enroll, or visit choose.va.gov/health.
And we're back with Marine Corps veteran Kevin Keller. Kevin, you were telling us about your service. Now let's transition to after retirement. What did you do after or how did you transition back into the world, as we call it?
Getting in and out of 3 different branches was a feat in itself. When I first got out of the Marine Corps in '96, I went back home, small town, Southern Illinois. I couldn't even get hired. Nobody would hire me. Because I was a Marine, they said I wouldn't stay. So it was kind of hard to get a job initially because of that. But when I got out of the Army, I was kind of set up because I was working as a guard, correctional officer for the Illinois Department of Corrections, Pontiac, Illinois. And I got to talking to some of those guys there and found out I could went in the Air Force Reserve out of Scott Air Force Base. I spent 4 years there. Then found out I could go take a military leave of absence, go active duty, so I could get my retirement. I needed about 6 at the time, and talked to a staff sergeant down at MacDill when I was down there for 6 months. And he said, "Man, you need to go active Army." So I did, went active Army and retired. Where I met my wife and everything. But and then I went back to Pontiac, Illinois, to Department of Corrections because I was about 10 years into it when I left, so I had to come back and do 4 or 5 more so I could get my retirement. But some of my military service of that 6 years counted toward my retirement, so I didn't have to make up the whole thing. But then I retired. We stayed there in Bloomington for the last 2 or 3 years, and I just been working with all the veterans groups locally, and that's we've been traveling much as we can and see family and friends in other countries. So it's been pretty good so far.
Okay. Now, I met you at the Miami Valley Military Museum.
Yes.
And during that period of time, are you volunteering or continuing to assist veterans?
Yes. I'm in the process of working, getting approved for transfer to the VFW, American Legion in Kettering. And I'm with the Marine Corps League out of veterans group out of Springfield because we don't have one local. And I'm also with the just recently approved for the Sons of the American Revolution. So I've been working, and AMVETS here in Dayton, Post 24. So I'm working with those groups to help veterans. I mean, no matter where you go, you got veterans, could need help. So
that's true. Now, a lot of people who may listen to this podcast may not know what those organizations do. Could you shed a little light?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You can read the bio about it, but I always try to keep it simple. These veterans groups are for one purpose: to take care of our veterans, their families, and our community. So that's kind of our premise. That's kind of what really it is, and that's the basics right there. So, but we can do more. But those are the 3 really important things that we're all of them are really for.
And the advantage of a veteran being a part of the veteran service organizations is?
Well, the big thing is, especially those whether you're combat or not. When you went in, you were one person. When you came out, you're another, whether you've seen combat or not. Of course, combat can sometimes you just really need somebody to talk to, somewhere to go that you can talk to others that have walked in your shoes, that have, or walked in a similar way or similar places, will understand you. You have families that try to do that, but if you haven't put on the uniform or been in those combat situations, you're really not going to understand what they're talking about. And, a lot of veterans aren't going to open up to their families. I've heard that for years. And my Uncle Paul was the same way when he was in. When he got out, he never really said anything to me. But once I enlisted, my stepdad was in World War II. My uncle was in Vietnam era time. So it gives them a place to go that they can speak and discuss things, and people really know what's going on. They don't have to explain or try to really explain what's going on or what happened, because you're really not. I mean, it's like being fire, police, or medical. It's the same kind of thing. Unless you've been there and you're walking in those shoes, you're really not going to fully understand what's going on. You may have an idea, but you're not really going to understand.
Okay. And they share a lot of information right there, and that is by meeting fellow veterans that tend to share a lot of information. With that said, you had made an announcement, and that was something concerning the Korean War veterans.
Yes. The Korean War Veterans Association, the group, put this out, which I'm actually part of. I wasn't in the actual war, of course. I'm too young for that. But since we're in a ceasefire, not a, they have that group. But they have a medal. It's called the Ambassador of Freedom Medal. And I find out a lot of Korean veterans don't know about it. And it is a very nice medal. It's very well put together. It's from the South Korean government. It's not from the U.S., it's South Korean government. It comes personalized with the individual's names. So if you know a Korean War veteran that actually was in Korea, and I believe it's or the peacekeeping UN until 55, they can get that. They can put in and get that medal, and it's free. It's a one page. It's not really very much information. You can put that in, or if you're a family member of that veteran and he's maybe passed or maybe incapacitated, you can file the paperwork. You can go to the Korean War Veterans website. The paperwork's on there, and so it's a very nice little medal that they have that we like to do. Back home, we were doing presentations with it. So we weren't just giving it to them. We were doing it, maybe getting with the family if possible and do some special presentation for them.
Oh, okay. That's something that I'm quite sure the family would definitely appreciate right there. And it helps them in having a better understanding as far as what their family member, their service.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
And Kevin, you had mentioned the Marine Corps League being based in Springfield.
Yes.
But you're looking at expanding that as well.
Yes. A few years ago, there was a Dayton detachment, Post 271 here in Dayton. They turned in their charter, unfortunately. So, and I'm, like I said, I live in Washington Heights, but we have a Dayton address. So we're right there, Centerville, Kettering area. So I'm trying to, and I'm working with others, some in the department, Roger Smith up in Springfield. He's a department officer as well. I'm working with him and a couple of the Marine veterans at the Kettering post we're working together. Joe Law there, past commander of the American Legion there in Kettering. Very, very nice facility. They're working together through them to try to get a new post, our new detachment made here in this area. We don't know where it's going to be. We don't know what the name of it's going to be. That'll all be decided hopefully on May 16th at 6:30 there at the Kettering American Legion. The post has allowed us to meet there to discuss, to try to get a Marine Corps veterans group started here again in this area.
Okay. And do you have to be a Marine in order to join that or be a part of it?
Well, actually, and that's one thing different about the Marine Corps League. And I belong to approximately a dozen different veterans groups, literally. Some of them are very small, people wouldn't even know of. But, most veterans groups, the VFW, American Legion, and vets, they have you're either a regular member or you're an auxiliary member. The Marine Corps League has another group we call it the associate members. So we have regular and associate. We meet together. They're with us the whole time. Now, as far as a regular member, it's any Marine that has served, graduated boot camp, and has spent at least 90 days on active duty and an honorable discharge. General under honorable is acceptable, but that's the lowest we can. That's the only other one we can go with. So you have to be an honorable discharge. Now, the other group that can be a regular member is our Navy veterans. We have, those who do serve, especially our corpsmen, our medical staff. You have now the FMF badge and the Fleet Marine Force badge and all that. Certain requirements, if they meet those and can show proof that they serve with the Corps, then they can join as a regular member. But then we have the other group, which is our associate members. There's not a lot of difference, but there is, according to our bylaws or regulation, there's 4 positions in the Marine Corps League that have to be voted on, have So elected. So, and that's, the other groups, you call it the commander, first vice, second vice, judge advocate. We call it the commandant, like the commandant of the Marine Corps, and then senior vice, junior vice, and then judge advocate. Those four are elected by our bylaws. So you cannot hold an elected position as an associate member. But any associate member that can be anybody that served in any other branch of the service honorably, who meet the same requirements like the Corps, you spent 90 days on graduate boot camp, 90 days on active duty, honorable discharge, you can be an associate member. So, and there are, by our bylaws, you can, like, of our detachment, where we're doing something with detachment, say we're going to do a fundraiser or something, you have voting rights there. But now if it's for something that goes out of the detachment to department or the state level or national level, then they're not supposed to have not to vote on it, because that's for regular members as far as that goes. But yeah, we allow the other veterans groups to join us, as long as they're, meet those specific requirements.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of information. And I'm quite sure that many of our listeners will probably be looking to find out more information as far as on that. Right now, we're going to go ahead and take another break. And when we come back, we'll be talking to Kevin, or Kevin will be sharing with us his experiences at the Dayton VA when we come back after this break.
It really upsets me when I hear people say that the VA is not the place to go. I choose the Dayton VA for my health care. When I had cancer, they saved my life. If you ask me, I wouldn't go anywhere else. They understand vets probably because many who work there are vets too. That's why I choose VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and I choose VA. If you're a vet, choose VA today.
Call 937-268-6511, extension 2159, or visit choose.va.gov/health.
And we're back with Marine Corps veteran Kevin Keller. Kevin, before we went to break, you were telling us about the organizations, veteran service organizations that you continue to serve other veterans through. Kevin, our podcast, one of the things that we work, this is part of our outreach effort. And that is by veterans sharing their stories, other veterans can listen. Mm-hmm. And they can also make that decision or find out more information on how they may be able to access the benefits. And one of those major benefits is health care. Now, Kevin, when you retired, or how did you come about finding out about the VA and your benefits, and how did you go through the process of enrolling?
Well, I knew about the VA before I graduated high school, and talked to other veterans. I knew of it, and others that had went through some things, and then used the VA care. So as soon as I got out of the Marine Corps in '96, I went straight to the VA and signed up. So it's there. It's for our veterans. I don't think a lot of them understand. I've talked to over the years. They think if they go and register, you're taking money from another veteran that could get help. And that's actually just the opposite. So, and because my understanding is the VA gets money so much per each veteran. So you're not taking money from somebody else. It's you served. That's your right. Your privilege. You should go in and with rising healthcare costs in the civilian world, you can save a whole lot of money by coming through the VA. So, and it doesn't matter if you're a disabled vet or not, or you need to get in, because you may not need it now, but down the road, it will come in handy. And
that's something you took my speech that I normally do.
Oh, my bad.
When I'm out in the field. No. I think it's great because it's coming from someone who's actually using the VA. And at the same time, that's an authentic piece right there. That's information letting veterans know that, hey, number one, that no need to feel that you're depriving another veteran for their benefits or the services that you're taking it away from them, because if anything, you're helping your fellow veterans out, and that is by utilizing the medical health benefit. And the other part of it is that with the rising cost of health care, if you are eligible, that there is no reason you should not immediately enroll. Now, how do you know if you're eligible? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do, and that is, the first thing is contact your nearest VA.
Right.
Your outreach or your eligibility and enrollment. And then that way they can go ahead with the process of completing the applications and ensuring that, okay, this is where you fall into which category. One of the other things that's been rolled out, and this has been the big expansion as far as in VA history, and that's going to be the PACT Act. Now, if I can ask you, Kevin, have you registered as far as?
I've registered. I was in Desert Storm, so I've got all that going on. I was in 2 tours of Iraq, and the first tour I worked stone's throw from burn pits and everything else. I worked with fuels, so I had to deal with all that and everything. All that was going on. But I was also at Camp Lejeune for 4 years of it, for all the chemicals in the water. So I registered online, but I never did my interview till, actually I got here a couple weeks ago. I went in, and the Dr. K, I believe, is at a Red Team 6, my primary care. She talked to me about going in. So I went and had my interview with a doctor for it just recently. So
for veterans who have not registered, what would you advise them?
Oh, I would highly recommend, even if you're not having any issues now. Again, it's one of those things. Get your ID, get your veteran ID card, do your minimum. At the worst, go and see him once a year for a checkup, or 2 years, whatever's required. Get in the system, get in there, get your information in there. Right now, you may not be. Don't wait till you need it, and then your family's trying to jump through the hoops to try to find out what's going on. When I've ran into this a few times from people back home. Get in the system, get registered now, so it's all there. Why it's fresh in your mind, and you know what happened and where you were at. Because as we get older, things we may not as remember as much, and then your family's really not going to know in detail. So you're going to know what you're doing. So you need to get in there, get registered, get that information in there. So now you may be okay, but 5, 10, 20 years down the road, you may need medical care, and they're not going to know what's wrong with you because they don't know your history, your background. So at least it'll be in the system, and the doctors will know, haven't had a starting point at least, and can see when you registered till that time, what's happened, the transition from you were good to you're not as good. So,
and that is so wisely put right there, and that is, get things going right now. So don't wait until that time when all of a sudden everything is in chaos.
Exactly.
And then try to sort things out, because then that adds a little additional stress right there. Let me go a little bit more into the PACT Act. Put a little context into those who may not be aware of the PACT Act, or who are aware of the PACT Act but are not sure how is it different from what was rolled out last year. Well, let's go ahead and start out with the purpose. And that is, context is, the VA wants to bring as many veterans as possible into our care, because VA has proven to be the best, most affordable health care in America for veterans. And that's why on March the 5th, the VA made 3 new groups of veterans eligible for VA health care. Years earlier, than what was called for in the PACT Act. And the first one is veterans who were exposed to toxins or other hazards during military service. The second would be veterans who were assigned to certain duty stations in Southwest Asia or parts of Africa. And the third is veterans who were deployed in support of certain operations after 9/11. Now, here's what that means for veterans. If you served in Vietnam, the Gulf War, Iraq, or Afghanistan, you can still enroll. If you deployed to any combat zone after 9/11, you can enroll. If you deployed in support of the global war on terror, you can enroll. And even if you never deployed but were exposed to toxins or hazards while training or serving in active duty here at home, by working with chemicals, pesticides, lead, asbestos, certain paints, nuclear weapons, x-rays, and more, you can enroll too. Bottom line, all veterans exposed to toxins and other hazards at home or abroad are eligible to enroll in VA care, and that began on March the 5th. Now, this is the biggest expansion of VA care in generations, and we just want you to apply as soon as possible. Now, again, it's quick and easy to enroll. You don't need to be sick or file a claim to become eligible. All you have to do is show that you served in one of those locations or operations, or you participated in one of the activities that could have exposed you to toxins or hazards. Even if you don't think you need the care today, we always tell people, even if you don't think you need the care today, you might need it tomorrow or the next day or 30 years from now. All you have to do is enroll. Then you have access for life. Again, all you have to do is enroll. Then you have access for life. So don't miss the opportunity. Affordable health care is waiting for you, and this is where you need to go. First step is go to va.gov/PAC and get it. That is va.gov/PACT and get it. I promise we'll do everything in our power to serve you as well as you have served us. So with that, the bottom line again is this expansion provides opportunity for a lot more veterans for us to get into the VA system. So if you're not utilizing the VA, you should right now. And I didn't just say that, but we heard Kevin share that with you. Well, Kevin, this is going to be wrapping things up right here. I thank you tremendously for your time, taking the time and sharing your story.
Thank you for letting us get it out. We need that.
All right.
Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. Every day, hundreds of people just like you volunteer to help our veterans. You can help by simply sharing your time, lending a warm smile, a supportive hand, or a sympathetic ear to someone who needs it. Everyone can do something to make our veterans know how much we appreciate their service. What will you do?
The Dayton VA changed my life. There was a time I was jobless and homeless, didn't know where to turn for help. I felt like there was no hope for me. Then I learned about the Dayton VA. They helped me find the help I needed to get back on track. I received support, got a job, found a place to live. I got my life back.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans Service Organizations, often known as VSOs, offer many services for veterans and their families. To learn more, go to va.gov. This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you were exposed to toxic substances while serving in the military, a new law called the PACT Act may make you eligible for additional benefits and care. The PACT Act benefits veterans of the Vietnam era, Gulf War era, and post-9/11 era who were exposed to toxic fumes, burn pits, Agent Orange, radiation, and other environmental hazards. Survivors of toxic exposed veterans and veterans who served in specific countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Southwest Asia are also potentially eligible. Learn more about the PACT Act by going to va.gov/PACT or by calling 1-800-MY-VA-411. We at VA are here for you, and we're ready to get you the care and benefits you've earned and deserve. I'm Mike Richmond.
As we come to the end of the program, I want to extend a heartfelt call to action to all veterans listening. Your service to our country has earned you not only our eternal gratitude, but also a range of benefits and support through organizations like the Dayton VA Medical Center. If you're a veteran who hasn't enrolled yet in VA healthcare or explored your earned benefits, I urge you to take that step today. Your health and well-being are paramount, and the VA is here to provide the care and support you deserve. Reach out to the Dayton VA Medical Center to learn more about the benefits available to you and to enroll in the healthcare services that are rightfully yours. Don't hesitate to take advantage of the resources and assistance available to you as a veteran. Thank you for your service, and remember, you're not alone. The VA is here for you. I'm Greg Tucker. Thank you for listening.